Hi guys, welcome to Steelers Fan TV. It's been a while. It's been about 2 months, I would have thought, since I last produced an apology video. That's all I seem to have done on this channel, but at the end of the day, we're back now and we're going to be trying to push on really with this new style of video that I'm creating. It's called the Steelers Fan TV Vidcast. What it is basically I've got a few questions over here that I'm going to answer, talk about, giving my sort of points of view across, like a for against you sort of situation, like in school, to for the point, against the point, and obviously my opinion. It'll happen weekly, hopefully. Yeah, weekly. We'll go weekly. Weekly on a Thursday. That'd be great, wouldn't it? If I actually had some sort of consistency. Obviously, I'd film it like a couple of days in advance, maybe. Like I am today, it'll be produced on the Thursday, but it's actually being filmed on the Wednesday. I've just got back from the gym. I've just had a shower. I've not got greasy hair, before you ask. You might have seen me around games. You might have not. Honestly, either way. Obviously, I run SteelThePuck. I do all I set up Steelers Match Night Live, Steelers Fan TV, and obviously the new SteelThePuck Steel Dog section, which is yet to really get going. I'll come to that later in the video, really. I'll come to the blog later and like sort of what we're out to achieve now. It's 2019, obviously. Happy New Year to everyone. And yeah, I hope you really enjoy this video. At the end of the day, I'm just here to put my point of view across and put on video some of the opinions of people on Twitter. And obviously these questions are from my email, SteelThePuck. I've not yet made it sort of public questions because we've got sort of the panel asking questions. And obviously when it does become public, then you guys will be able to get involved in the discussion. I'll get a few more people at the vidcast, and hopefully we can progress from there, really. I want this to be a good project. It is a project, sort of, because at the end of the day, hopefully I'll be going to university in September, and it'll give me an idea of how sort of video journalism, video analysis works. Ultimately, there will be video analysis and stuff like that, but we'll work towards that. I mean, I'm filming this on an iPhone 5S, I think. No, iPhone, I don't know. It's something in it. It's the smaller version of the 6. Anyway, we're going to get into it. 3 minutes gone, and you guys are already twiddling your thumbs. We're going to start really with the lack of fights at games. I know this has been something like sort of discussed quite a lot, really. Do we need to fight? Is there anything against fighting? So obviously we'll start with the for fighting, and the points for it. It does energise the crowd. It does. It gets you up onto your feet. It gets you cheering. Gets you into it, really. I mean, in the 2015-16 season, I went through that whole season without seeing a fight because I only started watching the Steelers in December. So I never really saw a fight until the Manchester Storm game in the 2016-17 season, the start of it, that Challenge Cup game. I think it was Fitzgerald against Eric Nielsen. It was a really good fight, and that was my first fight that I saw. And then Dabians fought Dallas Earhart in the later stages of that game, and it really introduced me to, wow, I really want to watch hockey. Like, that was the pinnacle of it. It had been building up, and I'd seen the team win the league that season. I'd seen them win the league the season before. Obviously, the season before it was Cardiff Devils. Season after it was Five Flyers Away. I mean, I was watching the webcast. Oh, no. I was following it on Twitter. Following that game on Twitter, and it really brought hockey to life to me when I saw the first fights. It was like, wow, that's what I've been wanting to see for quite a while. And it just has that effect on the crowd. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, there's been a fight, yes. You know, and everyone's up off their feet, everyone's cheering the name when it gets announced that you've got a 5-minute major for fighting. And it's something that I'd never experienced. And what a fight does is it energises the crowd and the teammates. So normally a momentum shift is seen. I can give an example. We were 3-0 down, I think, to the Cardiff Devils in the 2016-17 season. And out of nowhere, Fitzgerald fought Mark Lewis. And we were 3-0 down. It went to 3-1 as soon as that fight finished. It nearly got to 3-2 if Murdy hadn't made a brilliant save. But it just completely changed the momentum. We did go on to lose the game. But that fight, it just changed it. Like, the Cardiff Devils were absolutely rampant against us. They were knocking in goals as if Mustakovs wasn't even in the net. And then Fitzgerald fought Lewis and you're like, wow, that has just changed the momentum. And you could feel the building just shift. It was almost like everyone were on a slant and then we were just like that. And Devils were at the bottom of it. It was great. Another example, Nottingham Panthers, Fitzgerald against Gagnon. I think that game ended about 4-3 on penalty shots to the Panthers. I wish I had this knowledge from my A-levels, but I don't. And Fitzgerald against Gagnon, we were 2-0 down against Panthers, I believe. We managed to pull it back to 3-3 at the end of the game to go on to overtime. Unfortunately, we didn't win, in good old-fashioned Steelers fashion. Nowadays, we win in overtime and we win on penalty shots, but under Paul Thompson, we never really got that. We never really won in overtime, unless it's debuting against the Nottingham Panthers in the playoff quarterfinal. However, obviously there are some points against lack of fights. It does bring violence to the game. There have been a lot of arguments that, violence shouldn't be allowed in hockey. Hockey is for everyone, stuff like that. Yeah, there is that. I agree. But the lack of fights can also take the energy out of the building completely. There is, obviously, we've barely seen any fights at the arena this season, which is different to previous. I mean, we used to see them almost week in, week out. Lack of fights has been clearly highlighted this season. Chris Lawrence was the only person really that fought this season, but he's obviously gone because of inability. But at the end of the day, his fights did energise the crowd, got us going, even in times where we just needed something, anything really, and we did get it. But again, against it, it's just you can have small kids watching grown men fight, and some people have said, it's just childish. And there is that. There is an element of it being childish as such. You've got players like Lyndon Springer, who are childish sometimes, with cross-checking people to the ice, punching them when they're on the floor. There is that you might not want to see, even if it's your own team that you're cheering, and someone does that to the opposition. You're not going to want to really see it. Someone's at my door, so I'll edit this out. So obviously where I was at was, I had to just go downstairs and let someone in. Where I was at was, Lyndon Springer is obviously one of the sort of more disliked players as such. I don't think you can really call him disliked. You could call him hated, but he does bring an element to it as well as being a goon. He's not just a goon, he's a massive goon, but he does bring something to the Storm, and he has been almost the Steelers' worst enemy this season. He's been very violent as such. And this brings me on to being sort of, are we being bullied on the rink, or are our results down to just poor defending? So I'm going to split this into bullied on the rink, results down to poor defending, 4 bullied on the rink, 4 down to poor defending, against bullied on the rink, against down to poor defending. So 4 being bullied on the rink, I mean, we've seen it against Manchester Storm. We saw it I didn't see the New Year's Day game. I was out, and I couldn't buy the webcast. So, from what I could probably see from that, I'm guessing we looked like we were probably bullied on the rink. I mean, I've seen tweets about it, how that one hit on DeLuca should have seen someone out for the game. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it back. I'd obviously make a judgment on that if I had. But there is definitely an element of we do get bullied in some games. I mean, Devils have bullied us, not physically, mentally, and skills-wise, they've bullied us. I think it was about 4-0 in the first 10 minutes or something in that game. Awful, under Paul Thompson. Probably one of the worst games I've seen. And that were being bullied in that way. That weren't even in physically. I think we've been bullied against what? I'm trying to think who we've been bullied against. I'm sure we've been bullied against the Storm on a couple of occasions. We definitely have. And at the end of the day, if you are getting bullied on the rink and there's no one to step up, it can really have an effect on how the team performs. And yeah, I know people are going to say like, oh yeah, but we do have some sort of people that do fight. We do, but he's injured. They're both injured. I mean, you can guess who they are. Like obviously, David Phillips, Eric Neely, injured, both of them. You know, there are two fighters. And maybe the bullying will stop as soon as we get them players back, but you can't see it happening. You can't see people fighting, especially not under Barrasso, because Barrasso obviously likes to bring this sort of clean game about him, sort of being a bit sort of more respectful of the opposition. I like Tom Barrasso. I think he's done a very, very good job, and I really do hope it's not him stopping the people fighting, because if it is, I do think it would cut out the bullying as such. And obviously for poor defending. I mean, we've shipped a lot of goals this season, and a lot of the defenders have been under fire. I mean under fire. Like, it's been we have lost. It is his fault. It is his fault. It's Susan's from Down Road's fault. You know, there is a lot of blame culture as well. So as far as poor defending, we have seen a bit of poor defending in the Steelers, definitely. Before Ben O'Connor came in, almost like every week, it was horrible to watch sometimes. I mean, Dundee Stars at home in September, one of Paul Thompson's final games. It was 2-2, I think, on the night, going into overtime. Luckily we won. But we were 2-0 down in that game. And against the Stars, who were struggling. Well, they were struggling back then. They're not anymore. MK Larton are at bottom of the league. 3 defensive mistakes led to 3 goals that game. In the first game of the season in front of a sellout crowd. It was horrible. Like, to watch it was just nasty, because it was just... You've seen like a good defence the season before, and then a defence the season after, and you're just shaking your head a little bit. I mean, Jiri Gula was a decent player. I liked him, but he just didn't cut it. There was a lot of things against McFadden at the start of the season, but I think McFadden's really started to shine, really. I think he's come good. I think we've improved a lot. Aaron Johnson, Mark Mattison, you know, Ben O'Connor. I'm going to come on to them in a second. Poor defending and shipping a lot of goals does actually have a link with Mark Mattison, Ben O'Connor, Aaron Johnson. They're all 3 very good defensive players, but they're better at attacking than they are defence. So I sometimes do think we are left a bit vulnerable at the back and a bit susceptible to pucks coming in, not being able to clear his lines, getting caught too far up the ice on a breakaway like we're on. A lot of breakaways have happened this season. We need to eradicate them, because if we eradicated them, we would not concede as many as we do. I mean, 2 happened against the Storm on Saturday from absolutely nothing. I mean, we're on the power play for one of them, one of the goals, and we just seemed to go to sleep, and then they scored, and then they're up for it. We nearly lost Saturday as well as we did New Year's Day. Bullied on the rink, again, you're going to come back to that. Against that would be that we don't really get bullied on the rink, and it is just down to poor defending. and flip that, poor defending, it's getting bullied on the rink. You know, there's always that. There's a real fine line. So if that was the thing, it'd be there. Okay, there's a fine line between it. So all this lack of fights, bullied on the rink, poor defending, it then all links up with the question: do we need a goon? Like a goon type player, sort of. Let me give you an example. Lyndon Springer. He's getting a bit bullied in this vidcast, but at the end of the day, he bullies us. Bullied on the rinks. Personally, you know what? I'll do it again. Sort of 4 against you for the do we need a goon? For a goon, bring energy. They energise the crowd. They energise the team. Goon as such, I'd say, if I were going to give an example, Fitzgerald, he's not particularly a nasty goon, but he fights, and he's up for a fight all the time. He hits very well. We had a goon last season in Fitzgerald, but not like a nasty goon. This is not what I'm on about. Sort of typical fighting, hitting, couple of goals a season. If I was going to get a defenceman back to put on the third line defence, it would be Zach Fitzgerald. Because I don't think he's not fast enough. He's not fast enough for Tom Barrasso. Definitely not. Tom Barrasso wouldn't have any of it. I don't even think I think he'd be a scratch every game. So Fitzgerald I don't think could quite cut it. Dabian I don't think you can class as a goon. Then again, he fought a lot. He hit a lot. Very good player. If there was one player I could bring back right now, that literally click my fingers and him appear here and I say to him, go to Attercliffe, it would be Dabian. Because he was very, very good. He energised the crowd. He was a very nice guy, a very good team player, wanted the best for the team. He was excellent. And then obviously he announced his retirement. Everyone's like, oh no. When we signed him to a 2-year contract, I couldn't believe it when he did it. And obviously I respect him for it because obviously he had a job. He wanted to move away to America. You know, it's obviously that's his choice. And if we had him, I really do think last season we'd have won something. Because him and Fitzgerald in the same team was great to watch because at the end of the day, no one wanted to bully us just in case they got him. I mean, I'll give you an example of what Davian did well. David Rutherford checked Jared Hagos to the head in a game, in a nothing game really. We were winning a lot and Rutherford just came up to Hagos and just bumped him in head with his fist. Oh no, it might have been his elbow, when he were behind the net at the Steelers' end. And Davian just came in, like, pushed him once, got him in headlock and said to him, like, why are you doing that? And it's that we need. It's the stopping the sort of bullying that we could have done with this season. Like, again, going back to bullied on the rink, it is something we could have done with. So if there's one player I'd love to come back, it'd be Dabian. And he does fit into the goon thing, I would have thought. I'd say so. He's not a nasty one, though. Like Fitzgerald, he's just a bit like, yeah, I'm ready for a fight, let's fight. Against having a goon, obviously, it takes penalty minutes. And it takes needless penalties. I mean, Fitzgerald took a lot of needless penalties, but he was a good player at the same time, just not fast. So against that, yeah, they're normally not that quick. They're normally not the fastest sort of players as such. They're not agile, but they can hit. And I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a hit from one of them players. They did bring something, but again, against it, it's like fans get frustrated if people take needless penalties. But what we don't get frustrated with is if we take a penalty to stop bullying happening. So if we get a 2+10 for an instigator, I couldn't care less personally. We just got to kill power play, and that's what I think we need more of. So someone that's just gonna just cut it out, cut the bullying out. We don't particularly get. Like, I'm not saying we get bullied. I'm just saying when we do get bullied, we need someone to step up, and hopefully when Eric Neely's back or Davy Phillips, they will step up. Obviously, my opinion on this would be we need a goon. We need someone that's going to come back and fight. So, Dabian, if you're ever going to come out of retirement, a message from me would be please come back. Just please come back, because at the end of the day, I could do with it. I could do with it personally. Has Ben O'Connor been an impact? Now, yeah, he has. Obviously, I'm going to do another 4 against you, sort of type way of talking about Ben O'Connor. For Ben O'Connor would be he has made a massive impact. I mean, he's racked up his points massively just from coming in. He's obviously played at that higher level. He's then come back to our level, and he's like, wow, this is a bit easier. I mean, it's like Ronaldo going from Juventus going to, I don't know, Blackburn. You know, it's like that. I'm guessing that's what the drop would be like from the SHL to the IHL. Even though we're improving his league massively, I do think it is still a big gap between that. And him coming back is going to be like, oh, I can really start to sort of test myself a little bit. So he's going to be like, oh yeah, I'll run around people. And he has been doing. He's been doing really, really well. I've enjoyed seeing Ben O'Connor play back at the Steelers because I thought we'd lost him. I thought we'd lost that key player. For him then to come back and to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to make an impact. I am putting my foot down here. I think he has, yeah. But obviously there's against, he's not a great defensive-minded player. Though he did that incredibly good diving swoop of the puck the other day, I don't know, against Guildford. That were great to watch. That were like a really good defensive play. But Ben O'Connor as a person, he's more attacking-minded than he is defending. I'd love to see him in attack. I think he'd be excellent in attack. But he must just like to see the game being played in front of him more than anything. And obviously against him having an impact would be the rest of the team might have just stepped up. The rest of the team might have brought to life themselves because they've got this player that they need to raise the bar to get towards. I mean, we were last place, I think, when Ben O'Connor came in. And now we're 5th. So he has raised the bar, I would have thought. And a lot of fans, to be honest, a lot of fans have slated him in the past. A lot of fans have slated him in the past. I mean, I've slated him in the past, as you all know, from last season. When I was Frozen Steel Junior, I slated him on Twitter and didn't really take into account what impact that might have on him. And I do think part of the reason he did leave in the summer was because of the fans and sort of how that's not me having a dig, like that's me sort of saying like what the fans sort of said about him. He might have thought maybe I will test myself at a higher level, but then when he sort of realised that the higher level might not be quite for me, he dropped back down and realised sort of how much of a good fan base we are and how much we actually did like him. I mean, O'Connor has been excellent, I think, this season. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. He's completely proved me wrong. Last season I didn't really like watching him play. This season I really do. And it's great to see, really. I like it how he's come back. So took it on the chin that, yeah, maybe the SHL isn't for me. And he has started performing really, really well. So the next question is, are we going backwards or has the league overtook us? This is a hard one. Are we going backwards? No, I don't think we are. If anything, I think we're going forwards. Well, we are now. We weren't at the start of the season. We were definitely not at the start of the season. We definitely are going forwards now. At the start of the season, you know what? Yes, at the start. No, we're not anymore. At the start, we completely took a step backwards in the wrong direction. Just completely. We didn't know what we were doing half the time. The league overtook now. The league's definitely not overtook. Because at the end of the day, we can put up a fight against teams like Belfast who are top. So they haven't overtook us. Because if we can beat them 4-2 at home, after they beat us 4-2 the previous night, they've not overtook us. And this weekend, coming up, it's going to show that it hasn't overtook us. And I'm not going to predict the results. So, as for that question, I do think, are we going backwards or has the league overtook? I think that's like a double negative. I'd say we were going backwards at the start, but we're now going forwards. Has the league overtook us? No. Is it going to? Probably not. Because next season under Tom Barrasso, hopefully, I do really think we can proper make an impact again and start to show teams sort of what the Steelers are about. Sort of almost having a God-given right to win, which we don't have. Which we do not have. We don't have that God-given right to win. But we will. I think next season we'll start to win a lot more games, and we'll become that team again that was sort of striving for the best a couple of years ago. So that's the end of basically the first vidcast on this channel. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to take some editing, because it's going to be quite a difficult video to edit as well, because I've had quite a few distractions. Really, I might post one of the outtakes. Overall, I've enjoyed doing that, really, sort of discussing points. Obviously, they all link in with each other this week, really. And really, I hope next week I'll be able to produce something similar, because I enjoy talking to the camera. I enjoy sort of discussing things. And soon enough, I will definitely get other people involved, get more people discussing. I mean, a few of my mates support hockey, so at the end of the day, I'll be able to get some people to come in and speak really on camera. I hope you have enjoyed this video, really, guys. And make sure to leave me some feedback. Make sure to email me, SteelThePuck@gmail.com. Message me on Twitter, SteelThePuck. Message any Twitter, really, Steelers Match Night Live, all that. And that's just the final thing I'm going to say, really. With this, what I'm aiming to do is sort of get fans included in a discussion-based video, more than anything. You can send your questions in. I'm happy to answer them next week. And yeah, so this is going to be the end of this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you have. Subscribe if you're new. Right. Thank you, guys. See you later.